Guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap. Today's video is sponsored by Nature's Willow, which I will talk about here in a minute. But right now we are cozied up in the studio, nice and warm, while outside 80% chance of snow today.
Yay! Have you seen all the snow that they're getting in like California and Tahoe? And
you were telling me about that, but I can't remember how much did you say?
Yeah, it's like I saw a video. Somebody was saying like 150 inches or more, maybe at this point, and like 100 of it has come in the last week. It's just...
Is it all in the mountains or...
Yeah,
like...
I think it's... Well, I saw like behind the Hollywood sign, you know, in California, they had snow. But yeah, most of it's in the mountains, which is probably good for snowpack and...
Water runoff.
And water.
Yeah.
But
reservoirs.
I think people are getting snowed in though, like bad, to where they can't get out. So
that's no good.
I would think though that most people, like if you live in the mountains... I just can't imagine that there are that many people who are unprepared living in the mountains.
Sure.
It's like, you know that that's a possibility.
Yeah, you kind of have a little food storage going, maybe.
Yeah, like if you live somewhere where there's hurricanes, you know, it's like you either need to be prepared to get out or like batten down the hatches and have food supplies.
Sure. Yeah, makes
sense.
So,
you know, hopefully there's not too many people that are stuck, but I know that there are some. So
that's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, I think our one winter of 52 inches was like record breaking for us, and it was horrid. It really was. I mean, it was kind of a novelty there for a minute, and then it was horrible.
It's amazing how quickly your reality can change. You're just like so used to like living in an area and things just kind of always going the same way, and then all of a sudden something comes through. Yeah. And it feels kind of like otherworldly, like when we got that snow.
Life's a fragile thing.
Hair.
Okay, let's get into the first video. Speaking of cold, we did a timed garden cleanup in the wind. It was so windy and cold that day. I mean, I was warm because I was doing garden work, and so it's actually quite nice when it's a little bit chillier out to do that kind of chore. In fact, we're gearing up to start working on our rock pathway again and hopefully get that done before like the big garden, boom hits, and to get it done when it's chillier out. But anyway, I timed myself because I noticed that question, here and there, asking how long it takes me to actually like in real time do the projects. And it's hard to say even with this one because I was out there by myself. I was filming myself, so I was moving the camera around and getting all the angles and all that business, which takes a while. And it takes a lot of because I'm doing a certain task and then I'm like, oh, this is probably getting monotonous. I probably should get a closer view of this. So I've got to get the camera or get a different camera and kind of move things around, make sure that one camera isn't visible from another camera. I'm better at juggling that now than I used to be.
If there were a garden cleanup Olympics, do you think that you would want to be
No,
a contestant?
I would lose.
I don't know. I feel like you're one of the quickest. Like you're
I'm not quicker than Paul.
Competing with yourself. Nope. I think you are. I think if you're not filming, I think you're faster than anybody I've ever seen. Win, hands down.
Paul would win. Anyway, I can't remember how long it even took me. I was only out there for a couple hours. I kind of called it at one point. After a certain amount of time in the wind, you kind of feel beat up by it and tired out. Natalie said, can you please do a series on annuals and perennials that hold up really well in the wind? I would just watch any one of our late season garden tours to see how our plants look. Our plants deal with high winds plus the dry air. And the only things that I notice that don't really hold up all that well are hostas because their leaves start to dry out because of our dry air. Anyway, and then we get the high winds that start to shred them up real nice.
Well, I mean, are we talking about staking or not staking?
I would say staking plants, taller plants is kind of a normal thing to have to do.
Okay.
Like, if you live in a high wind area, you're not going to grow a single sunflower and expect it to stay upright. You're going to stake it up, just like you stake up vines and things. Or, you plant in blocks so they kind of like hold each other up, I would think. I don't know. But I stake some of our plants. Some of them I don't ever stake.
Do you ever stake your grasses?
Hey, you know what? Okay, next question. Kay Zetting said, I've never seen grass that browns out and comes back next year. What kind is that? Our lawn is perennial rye and Kentucky blue, which is like the most popular grass seed in our area other than RTF. Both of those are probably equally as popular now, which RTF is what we planted in the orchard. It is a little bit more green. Have you noticed that?
No.
But it's wider bladed, and we're letting that RTF grow up to its full size, which is like 12 to 18 inches, and we're going to let it seed. It's going to be so pretty and soft looking. And I didn't really want a bunch type grass in there. I wanted it to be more like solid floor meadowy kind of look. Hopefully it'll give us what I'm thinking. But all of our lawns here, they brown out in the wintertime, and then they spring back to life in the spring.
I have, I was walking through our grass, and I was like, I could probably burn this. And then I started looking at videos of people who burn their lawn, and it's a thing. People often, well, it's like lawn dads, burn their lawn. But I guess it's
What's a lawn dad?
It's like you're going to get into something. You're either going to get into like grilling or smoking or having a manicured lawn, or you're going to get real deep in World War II history or something like that. But it's like lawns are one of those things that dads just kind of maybe get a little bit too deep into. But it's not something that just everybody does. It's only if you're like into lawns.
Sure.
But I kind of want to do it a little bit. It'd probably make a big old mess with all the soot.
What were you talking about? Yeah, kids playing in it the next year, like the mess.
No, that year.
That year.
Once
that's what I mean. Yeah.
I think you pretty much have to like rake it, and then the first time that you mow it, you're going to be just a big old black cloud of dust.
Oh my, that doesn't sound nice at all.
Yeah.
All right, guys, like I said, today's video is sponsored by Nature's Willow, which is a company that specializes in natural pain relieving products and like itch cream, things like that are plant-based. So white willow is the main ingredient. They've got like helichrysum, lavender, and geranium, and all these wonderful things. So they smell really good. The reason I know about this company is my mom loves them. She introduced this product to me like 2 or 3 seasons ago, and then they carry it down at the garden center. And as you know, those of us who are like getting later on into our gardening careers, things start to hurt a little bit more, especially this season when you start to work outside, like when you're not used to it for a couple of months. And so you need a little bit of relief, some help, and you want to use natural products. So my mom, she got these pain relieving patches. I don't know if it was like at a trade show or something like that, and she was like, you've got to try these. And she used them on her ankle. After she broke it, she would have like 2 of these pain patches on her ankle. As some of you guys know, I've been trying out different shoes because I've been having some heel pain. I've been using those on my heel. Like I'll put one on in the morning, and it does provide some really nice relief. And then like pain relieving cream, Monica uses their pain, like it's a bath soak. So anyway, it's a really great thing if you can find something natural to help you with things like that rather than something chemical, synthetic. It's always a nice route to take. If you want to learn more, we will link their website down below. It's natureswillow.com, and if you use the code Laura, they will give you 15% off of your order, plus they're going to throw in extra samples and like gifty things so that you can share with your friends. Anyway, thank you so much, Nature's Willow, for sponsoring today's recap. Amy said no shortage of moisture in Michigan. Unfortunately, came in the form of ice. Bummer. Quite a few broken limbs. Question, what plant is a tumbleweed from? Okay, tumbleweeds. Ooh, tumbleweeds are one of the worst. So they're a Russian thistle is the common name for them. I can't remember even what the botanical name is. And when we moved into this house, a lot of the area around us, the subdivision that has gone in, we knew that was going to be built when we bought this house. So it wasn't a surprise to us. We knew there would be houses that close. But all of that was undeveloped, and it all was just full of Russian thistle. Now what happens is this plant grows up, and it's actually edible when it's young, like when the leaves are all nice and tender. You cook it like collard greens, apparently. I've never done it personally, but I guess they're tasty. Maybe we should try it sometime. But then they grow up into this huge ball-shaped plant with one single stem. When the plant dies, the stem breaks off, and then they tumble around, spreading upwards of 250,000 seeds.
Dang.
Yeah. And they can hold on to those seeds for a while and tumble about the land and spread themselves everywhere. And I guess they're not even native here. Yeah. I read at one point that they were brought in like to Wyoming in the mid to late 1800s in a shipment of flax seeds from Russia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, probably could have guessed they were from Russia from the name.
Russian thistle. There you go. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so yeah, I read that somewhere on the internet, so I don't know how much.
It's like, where are these Japanese maples native to?
Yeah, true. Anyway, yeah, they are really pokey and they are highly flammable. When we very first moved in and they were just gathering in gobs along our fence line, and some of them would make them into the property, we would gather them up and burn them in a pile.
Which is really satisfying with how quickly they.
Yeah, it's scary though if there's even a whiff of breeze. Like one of those big spheres can lift up off the pile and blow around. So you have to be really careful about when you're doing it. Anyway, tumbleweeds are kind of the worst. They kind of are.
Yeah, they are.
Alyssa said, this has definitely motivated me to do my own garden chores. I noticed that you dropped off the cuttings into the pasture. Do you have your own compost pile? Nope, not Not as of yet. If so, could you do a video about it? I'm so interested in it, but don't know where to start. The pile we have out there right now is probably going to become a compost pile, because right about where that pile is where the land kind of starts to go down. And Chad's going to be coming back this spring. It just got too late and too wet out there last fall. And he's going to bring in just a little bit of fill dirt and kind of bring up that level, because it's an awkward place where it goes down, and it's kind of where we want to put our high tunnels and eventually maybe a barn back there toward the back part of the property. Anyway, so he'll probably just spread that out and put soil over the top of it. So it'll return to the earth.
Sure.
Here in that spot.
Yeah.
Alma said, I noticed you didn't drive the gator on the grass. Are you supposed to avoid stepping on that during the winter? We try to avoid grass. We step on the grass. Just, we walk around and whatever. But we try not to drive anything on it, anything with weight, because it does create like lines. I remember I didn't really think about it, and it was probably like 3 or 4 winters ago. We used the same path with the garden cart across the grass, like kind of in front of where the gazebo or the Hartley is now, where the gazebo was. And we would go from like the barn area to the Versailles garden, and it was just like, it took a full year for those ruts.
Yeah.
Like for that grass to repair itself. So we really try to avoid it if at all possible. In most areas of the garden that you're working in, you can put stuff in a pop-up bag and take it to the gator. There's no reason to drive on the grass, and it does keep it nicer.
I think you can drive on the grass as long as it's not
all the time. Like,
well, yeah, as long as it's
continual.
not all the time, and as long as it's not like frosty. It's when the blades are frozen that they snap off, and that's when it damages it.
Yeah, I think we did a little bit too much driving on that particular grass pathway late in the season to do garden clean out and other things. And so there is a little bit of traffic wear on that grass. And so we just thought, we got to back off and let this repair. Derek, I don't know how to say that. At what time do you normally start in the morning? I've been doing a lot of cleaning, but it's getting so hot early in the morning in Florida. I'm trying to stay motivated and think WWLD. Oh, what would Laura do? How funny. We are going to make a concerted effort to start earlier this summer. Right now, we start like 7.
Around 8.
8-ish. In the summertime, I'm hoping to be out like 6:37. And then, you can get projects and things done, and you've got those kind of behind you during the cooler part of the day.
Take a siesta in the afternoon.
Yeah, or just, work on things in here, or work on things in areas where it's just not so intense. Give yourself a little bit of a break. Next video is how I prune our raspberries and blackberries. I started that one off in the cut flower shed because our newest neighbors, which are right across the fence, right over the fence from our raspberry blackberry area, they're having a little shed built, like a little garden shed, which will be fun to see what it looks like when it's done. But he was using a saw out there. It was pretty loud. So I started in the flower shed, talked through the life cycle of raspberries and blackberries, explained the different methods of pruning, and explained why I prune them the way I did. So if you didn't see that video and you don't know about raspberry blackberries, do we link all these videos down below? I don't know.
I also wanted to mention one thing about that. On Facebook, we posted like okay, so here's the deal. Facebook is frustrating because if you post the full length video, few people will watch it.
Yeah.
Like
they serve it to like.
Yeah, it just isn't served to that many people and whatever. But if you so what I did is I cut it down to 3 minutes and mostly just showed you doing the work,
which gives no explanation.
Which doesn't give any explanation.
So I was like,
but
why?
We got on that video specifically, we got like 10 times the views that we would normally get.
Here's my beef though. Do we want 10 times more the views, or do I want people to understand why I'm pruning them a certain way and how they might think about pruning theirs if they want different life cycle out of their berries? Like for me, I want there to be the information there.
Sure. I think that we should have like a little bit longer of a description that says like, there's a lot more information about this. Click the link to watch the full-length video where it explains everything. We didn't quite... I put the link there to where people could find the full video, but people were still commenting like, you just
there
ruined
always
your
will be.
raspberries.
Even if we get to a system where we're never posting a full-length video on Facebook, only on YouTube. I think they're always, even if there's all the information there, even if it's embedded in the video, we'll still get questions and comments about it.
True.
It's inevitable. But I think if we're going to continue on with that sort of thing, we need to really make it known that all the details are on our YouTube video.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's so lacking without the details.
Right.
And that's so important when you're out there. You want to understand what you're doing and not just blindly see what somebody's doing and just do the same thing.
Right.
And then realize maybe it's not how you wanted to particularly do it.
Right.
So I don't know. That's a hard one.
There's nuance to a lot of those types of things.
Yeah, there
like
really
how to prune things
there
based
really
on variety.
is. Yeah, I took the easy route.
Yeah,
That's for sure. Ninja Orchid said, so satisfying. Do you tell Paul and Bethany which areas of the garden to not touch because you're going to do this for videos? Being the wonderful people they are, I can imagine that you may wake up one day with videos and projects in mind and then ta-da, it's already been dealt with. That's only happened a couple of times and it's never a big deal. There's plenty of things to do out here. But you know what? Oh, it's snowing now. Sorry. Anyway, most of the time before they tackle a new area, they'll say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, this, and this in this area. Do you want to capture any of that on video? And sometimes they'll say, yeah, just save this, and I'll do that in a video. If it's something I haven't addressed in a year or two or whatever. And it just kind of depends. But yeah, they're really, they think through those things, and we communicate a lot. Anita said, could they have been trimmed back in the fall? Yes, they sure could have been. But we're going to leave most of our stuff up for most of the winter because it does look prettier to have some winter interest out there, some kind of bulk. And it will get exponentially better as the years go by, as evergreens grow up and things fill in and we get more things planted out there. It will be a thick, beautiful, even without perennials. Like I'm talking like dogwoods and pretty bark, pretty stems, pretty evergreen interest. And grasses. I want to lean heavier on that than perennial interest for winter.
Sure.
Brenda said, interesting about the pruning of the berries. Question, does your husband help you in your garden/beds? I don't ever see him helping plant, weed, prune, unless it's a bigger project and requires bigger machinery. Just wondering. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do different things. Aaron's busy with other things. And, I mean, your thing isn't really, you like the machines. You like the bigger projects because it involves, bigger machinery. And I enjoy the opposite, so it kind of works out nicely. Jessie said, I moved to a house with 3 blueberry bushes, not sure what time. What would be the best way to prune it? Also, the birds usually get most of the berries. Any suggestions? We will link a blueberry pruning video down below because it's one of those things, again, you kind of want to walk through the steps and see it. And then you can cover them with bird netting. That's really the only way to keep them safe from the birds. Cheryl said, I really love your beds. What is the wire spacing? If you could do it again, what would you change, if anything? The only thing, we are going to add some wires on the ends. The ends are like open. Oh. And we just need 1 wire in there. I think we did 2, and we did 2 feet and 3 feet maybe, or maybe 1.5 and 3 feet. I don't know. I mean, we just kind of spaced them out to where it filled in the space appropriately.
Sure.
Like it looked proportioned, the space did. I'm not sure that we had an exact, I could go measure it.
Would it matter based on the variety that you're planting?
No. Some people like the vase shape, like trellising system. Whoa.
Yeah, well, don't most of them, they're like a T, right?
Well, they're like this.
Yeah, because they end up, the plant is a vase, but the structure, or the wood is like a
right. Yeah, a
T shape.
I mirrored our beds after the beds in my parents' garden because that's what I grew up with, and I love them, and they're pretty in their garden, and they work well. Wanda said, how do you know when to prune and fertilize for each time zone? Does it depend on freezing temps at night? We just do it sometime in the spring. Once we hit this time of year, all these plants have been subjected to probably the coldest it's going to be, or it's going to get during the winter time. You could wait. You'll see tons of stuff online. Don't prune or clean out your flower beds until it's at least 50 degrees. I see that poster that come up every year. Oh, for crying out loud. Yes. When you clean up early, you're probably cleaning up some beneficials, but you're also doing it when you have time to do it, when it's not a burden for you, doing it when you can clean up some of the bad bugs you're dealing with, which we deal with spider mites. If we leave leaves and stuff down below and we let it get too warm, those eggs will start to hatch. So we don't want to risk that at all. So I think it's different a little bit for everybody's climate, I guess, and what you want to deal with in the garden. If you've dealt with any kind of diseases and things like that, you also want to get stuff cleaned up from underneath, but yeah, I'm not worried at this point now that it's snowing outside and we've already done a bunch of cutback. That doesn't make me worried at all. And then in terms of fertilizing, we have started already because we don't get a ton of, every spring's a little different. Sometimes it'll be really wet, but here we are in March. It's going to start to warm up here pretty quick. And if we get the fertilizer down now when we have time to do it and do it properly, it'll sit there. It's not going to go anywhere. And then as the plants wake up and we get some spring moisture, that moisture will help push it into the soil and the plants can start using it right up.
I think if you live in an area where it can rain a lot and wash the fertilizer away, you want to be careful of that.
Yeah, don't do it too early.
That doesn't happen to us.
Right.
That never happens. that'd be like a really freak thing.
That's usually summertime.
Yeah.
We get goalie washers in the summer.
Yeah. But I think that's the only thing you want to be careful of by not doing it too soon.
Mm-hmm. Nadia said, could you make wreath forms with those willow branches or baskets? They look prime for a crafty project. Yes, they are prime. They're beautiful, flexible. There was a whole bunch of them kind of like all gobbed together. I was previewing the video as I do. I usually watch it one time before it goes out just to make sure like nothing was left out or, whatever. And I saw as I was showing the back of the gator, all those beautiful branches. And I thought, I didn't even really notice that when I was pruning. Maybe I should go get those out of the pile. But we have so many willow branches around here.
You could kind of grab some.
I'll just
pretty
grab
much
another branch.
Yeah.
Erica said, could you please link the small, gentle rake? That is a Fiskars shrub rake. We've just ordered. Well, it's funny. I asked Aaron if he could order rakes. And then I asked you again if you'd ordered them, and you said you didn't. So I went ahead and ordered 2, and then you went ahead and ordered 2. So now we have 4 on the way. So we will be flush with shrub rakes for this season. Mandy said, I live in Colorado Zone 5B, and my big box stores are starting to put out blackberry and raspberry plants in the tube packaging. The pricing on some of these plants is incredible, so I want to give them a try. My question is, am I able to plant these outside now if they are dormant, I'm thinking you were meaning to say, or do I need to pot them up and care for them indoors until our typical planting time in May? What if they already have some leaves on them? I mean, the safest thing to do is to pot them up and put them somewhere a little bit safer and plant them out when it's proper to do so. If the plant is completely dormant and it has been subjected to the cold temperatures, you can plant them outside, but I'm guessing that's not the case. I'm guessing that these plants are being displayed inside, not outside. So if they're inside already in the warmth, I would pot them up and put them somewhere safe. Next video was pruning climbing roses. This video took me 2 days to film because it snowed right in the middle of my project. I took care of the colette climbing roses that lead to our vegetable garden area. So I just talked you through that process. Glad I got that done. They look so much better. Ozark View said, what a timely video. I'm so torn about pruning mine yet. The weather is glorious today, almost 70, but then it dips down to 40s and frozen mix, which is usually for our part of the country. So Google tells me to wait until the soil warms up because pruning kicks them into gear, then a freeze come and kills. Can you explain your reasoning on this? Zone 6. We are also a zone 6. As long as your warm-up isn't going to last for too long, you're okay. You just want to avoid any warm-up that looks like it's going to be there for a while, because that's what will, kick your plants into gear. Mine being pruned now, it's cold enough to where pruning them is just prepping them for the season. They're not pushing any new growth anytime soon, I don't think. Sylvie said, when you said full sun, could the feet of the plant be shaded, meaning the bottom doesn't receive sun, but the canes do? Yeah, because they're going to eventually shade their own bottoms out anyway. So full sun, on the leaves. So that's what the leaves are what's absorbing the sun and creating the energy for the plant to grow. Elizabeth said, another uplifting and informative video. Thank you. If you have landscape fabric in your garden and you want to fertilize your plants, will the fertilizer go through the fabric? I would try to get it under the fabric if you can.
Yeah.
I mean, some amount of it will make it through because the water makes it through. The water will dilute some of it, but it's not, your plants aren't getting it like they would if you could just get underneath the plant and kind of lift the landscape fabric and toss the fertilizer underneath it.
We used landscape fabric over in the far corner where we planted the red point maple and the hydrangeas. Mm-hmm. So this is just like anecdotal evidence, but like I fertilized all the arbs along that line that are under landscape. I didn't put it under the landscape fabric. I just stuck it on top. So landscape fabric, mulch, and then fertilizer on top of that. And I noticed that I hit those hydrangeas really hard with soil acidifier and fertilizer. Same with the tree.
On top of the fabric.
On top of the fabric. Okay. On top of the mulch on top of the fabric. Yeah. And that tree, like I hit those harder than anything else on the property. Mm-hmm. And those hydrangeas and that tree looked better than any other hydrangea or tree on our property.
It's true. They did.
I kind of wondered.
What do you mean hit them harder? Like gave them more?
I did it more times. You know how like the bags of like rose tone will say you can fertilize your roses once a month? Yeah. And we kind of do it like once or twice. Mm-hmm. Like twice. We never do it more than twice. I think
that's kind of normal. I don't know who's getting out there
and doing it once a month. Well, ooh. I did hit them like multiple times, especially with the soil acidifier and things like hollytone.
Do you think by doing that, I mean, they're maybe getting a little bit more than our normal ones, but there might be a little bit of a buildup too going on?
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know. It's like I said, it's totally anecdotal, but the ones that I did it more often, even with landscape fabric, they seem to look better.
Which is crazy because the water is so pointed. Like it's so directed. Right. So it's like the water's not getting on the fertilizer unless it's right by those drip emitters.
I did water them in. Oh, I mean, I fertilized and then watered. So I don't know. But, aside from, like rainwater, a lot of the fertilizer is not going in.
They did look good though.
Yeah. So I put it on top of the landscape fabric because I'm lazy.
Well, there's a certain limit too. When you've got a lot of things to fertilize, it's like, well, at least I gave it some.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have time to go and get underneath the fabric for all of these plants, all the hundreds of arbs that we have out there. You know, that would take forever.
Yeah. Almost impossible.
Yeah. Next question. What will you do if the arbor deteriorates and can no longer support the roses? It will be a sad day. I've noticed actually on the second one that I did, a little piece of the molding had fallen off and it was on the ground. I found it and I was able just to like push it back. These aren't like super high quality arbors. I bought them on Amazon. They're like a redwood.
Were they like $200 or something?
Yeah, they weren't super expensive. They came natural wood color and we stained them black. But that piece was off and it was just tacked on with like staples. So we can secure it a little bit better, but yeah.
Well, maybe when those arbors go, we can have someone actually like build an arbor for us.
At that point, we'll just cut the roses off of them. You just have to.
Yeah.
And then start training them again.
They grow quick.
They do. Wax on, wax off. Pro Detailing said, can you do a video on pruning grapes? I plan on it. Our grapes are baby plants, like super baby. So I'm not sure how much I'll be able to actually show you. But I mean, when we plant a grape, we have to start with a baby most of the time. So maybe it'll be helpful for those of you who are also starting with baby grape plants. Glenda said, you're giving me spring fever. With the rose varieties such as Colette with no major diseases, how long is the lifespan of the rose? I would say a long time. I don't know.
20 years?
Oh, more than that, I would think.
30?
If it loves its spot and you're fertilizing it and pruning it properly, I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't plan on digging those out, so we'll see how long unless something happens to it. Christina said, should you take all the dead leaves off the canes of the roses? Is that necessary to do along with pruning? I do it because I want to reduce any spider mite. Anything that could have a spider mite on it, I'd like to try to get rid of it. It's also very helpful to get rid of those things for fungal diseases, powdery mildew, black spot. Get rid of all of that old foliar growth because they can harbor a lot of stuff. The enthusiastic gardener said, so you never actually cut the main canes, Laura. Do I have that right? I head them back, because at some point, I mean, the rows will cap at a certain height anyway, but once they get to the middle, I start heading back that main cane, and I don't want it to grow any further over because I've got two that are meeting. So I don't cut it anywhere lower, just up top. And does the rose ever grow brand new main canes? I have some 2-year-old climbers, but they never do that well and don't have many main canes. Sometimes they do. Like I don't know if you saw on the one kind of closest to the west side flower bed. I'm training some new canes that formed last year and they're way more green. I'm training those to the fence area. So they come off a little bit, lower on the plant.
Well, yeah. Am I wrong in thinking that like every cane will kind of become a main cane? I mean, it'll get like the next year.
That comes off from the bottom. Yeah, as long as it's not coming, if it's a grafted rose, if it's coming from down below the graft, then you want to cut those out. But anything that's producing around the bottom, yeah. You can train it as a main cane. Yep. Okay, next video is planting 10 varieties of snapdragons, which are starting to pop already. Got some action over there. And Senecio, plus a random plant repotting. I potted up some things that we brought back from the Seattle flower show. Mary said, here's an amateur question. Do you ever start whole planters with different complementary seeds? I've been thinking about that. So wait for it. Erin said, can you please post a video for your new followers? I'd love to know you and your husband's backgrounds and what businesses you run. I gather you grew up helping your mom at her shop. I just love the video of you two shopping all day. It reminds me of my relationship with my mom. And girl, your energy is crazy high to do what you do. You're so inspiring. Thanks for the fun content. That's very sweet. We haven't done a... Well,
kind of. You sat down with your mom and talked about a lot of that stuff. Like
yeah, but we haven't sat down together and talked about... I mean, I don't know. Raise your hand if you would be interested in that video. I mean, we've done similar things in the past, but it's been a long time.
Didn't we do our 1 year anniversary? Yes. You and I sat down?
Yes.
We were babies.
Yeah. Jojo said, those plastic cases you're using to organize your seed packets at the 1026 mark, where did you get those and what brand are they? Get those at Staples. They're awesome. They're just CD/DVD storage cases. I think they're $14.99, $13.99, somewhere right around there. And they are awesome. So I create my own cardboard dividers inside. It's super high class. But for me, because my seed collection is massive, and it's always like, well, it's massive to me. I feel like Yeah, I should probably pare it down at some point, but it expands and contracts really quickly. And I love the thought. I see some people using like the photo cases that would never work for the amount of seeds that I have, because like sunflowers have their own section, zinnias have their own section, and I'd have to use so many of those little cases to house it. So this allows me to expand and contract really, really easily. And I've showed you in videos. In fact, I did one December, January, where I got a bunch of seeds in and I showed you how I arranged. So maybe we can link that video down below.
As your seed collection grows, and because you keep getting more and more of those seed things, you have like 4 or 6 now? 6. How important is it being mobile? Like how important is mobility to be able to move them around?
Not that important.
Because I saw Kevin at Epic Gardening got that like old library file drawer thing.
Sure.
It's like kind of old timey.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, but it's not mobile. I mean, you're gonna.
Sure.
You know.
You have to decide. I mean, if you have one area, I mean, I don't know that I would want it to be 100% immobile.
Sure.
You know, I love the look of it.
Well, you can
Anything
take the drawers
like that,
out.
though. That's true.
You know,
you
in a
could take the
situation like
drawers
that,
out. Yeah.
you could move them around if you needed to.
The thing is that what I do is I'll walk over to the shelving unit where they are and I bring them over here. In fact, this right here are all seed projects I've done, and I won't put these back in the cases until I update my inventory on my computer, so I know exactly where I'm at with things. So I usually end up with like a little collection sitting here on the table. But what I like to do, because this is the perfect working height table, is I'll go get the bin that I need and bring it over here, and I can work on things, and then I can take it back and put it in its storage area. So I do like that. I don't take them out of here typically unless I'm doing a video where I'm showing you all of the seeds and stuff. They mostly stay in here. One time, usually during the winter, I'll go through and do a major inventory, and I'll take them inside and work on it like in the evenings on the kitchen table. But I don't think I did that this year. I think I did it all in the Hartley when we had that big load of seeds come in. Janice said, I'm new to seeds starting indoors, but I did start geraniums after I saw your video on it. So many of you guys did, which is so much fun. I actually heard from Swallowtail Seeds. Yeah. Which I just ordered them and started them in a video. I never talked to anybody. I don't even know anybody at that company, but apparently a lot of you guys thought it was a fun idea and started some as well, which is fun to see progression. Some of your geraniums are ahead of mine. Some of yours are not to the stage yet. Anyway, it's fun. Hoping that is a good one to begin with, as you stated. It sure is. They're so fast and easy to grow. I even purchased a heat mat. That's exciting. Can you please walk me through what to do with them after they've germinated, since I'm almost at that stage? I'd love to see your progression with them, but I do know you move along to different projects quickly. I have updated them on Instagram and TikTok, I think, both. They're probably getting close to needing to be potted up. Not quite. When I lift up the seed trays, I see little roots hanging out of some of them, but not all of them yet. So I'll let them grow up just a little bit more. I have noticed in there, because in the wintertime we deal with gray days, so they're not getting full light every single day. I think my growth would be a little bit faster if I would rig up a grow light over them, even though they're in a greenhouse and getting whatever sunshine, and they're in the full sun. So when we do have a sunny day, they're like boom, like in it. And whoa. But if I would bring them in here, I actually considered, should I just bring those trays in here and let them finish up underneath a grow light, because the light is more steady in here. And I noticed it's probably the same for that out there too. And I seem to remember that from last year. Like I need to maybe set up some more supplemental lighting, because even with the greenhouse, with the gray days,
you need more lights.
And it just, I could shift stuff around and fit stuff in here pretty easily. Michelle said, Lily of the Valley is so invasive in our zone 4A. Do you have any regrets in your gardens that cost you more in time in keeping tame? Yeah, okay, so many of you were like, do not do it. Do not plant Lily of the Valley. Who would gift you Lily of the Valley? I don't know if it's a climate thing. It probably is, because, we can sell and grow Virginia creeper with no problem. And it's invasive in many areas, but it's not here. Buddleias, butterfly bushes, are not invasive here, and they are in a lot of other places. I think it's the same with Lily of the Valley. My parents have had it in their garden, and it stays like on its own, and it kind of stays to itself, and it kind of diminishes over time. So I had a thought. I'm like, well, I kind of want something like this to take over in certain areas out in the South Garden, because I like that look. I like when things kind of do their own thing and it's not super contrived. But I thought I could plant them in the far corner, kind of like away from the grapes, but in that area, like closer to the dumpster, because it's really hard pan out there and it's pretty dry. Probably wouldn't love it enough to spread a ton, but it'd probably grow. maybe I'll plant them out there. Monique said, could you plant and have success with any of these trays without a grow light situation, i.e. just placed in a sunny room? I may have missed if you mentioned. So I just kind of talked about, you know, the light that they're getting, which is essentially like putting in a south-facing window in your house. And I feel like they're healthy and they're not leggy at all, but they're just not growing as quickly as they might if they were in here. The temperature also varies in there too. It dips at night. I have a radiant heater set near them, so it kind of keeps it from getting too cold. But in here, it's like a steady 70. And so that's really beneficial for a lot of things. You just have to play with it, which is what I'm doing. And as long as in the end, I end up with plants that I can put outside, we're good. I'm good. And the last video is planting a succulent head planter, which was a really fun project. I really like that head planter. It's probably the prettiest one I've seen.
Yeah, some of them can be a little weird.
Some can be a little creepy looking. I don't like all of them. I do have a David statue in here, which I don't even like that one as much as I like.
Yeah, it's got weird eyes. It's like the white eyes.
It's like the carvings, like the, you know, what are they carved out of? Marble?
Yeah, I don't know.
See, this dude isn't as cute as that other one. Plus, I just gave this donkey tail sedum a huge cutback. We also showed you how we drilled a drainage hole in that container, and then I think we got some pretty good close-up shots on how I make a stacked succulent arrangement, like how the soil ends up mounded.
Yeah.
And then I showed you how I water it, and then showed you where I placed it in the Hartley. It was a really fun project. We used up some of the beautiful succulents that Mountain Crest Gardens recently sent out. It was really nice. Lisa said, have you ever thought of setting up a mirror by the camera so you could see the front of your arrangements? I've seen that suggestion before. I'm not sure that would actually be helpful for me. Because I have to see it with my eyes.
Sure.
A reflection, I think, would make me feel a little weird. Like it would just seem a little...
Well, it's backwards too, right?
Yeah.
The way you'd be looking at it?
Right. And I think I would need it close up because I need to see things close up and how things are laying. It is a thought, though.
Yeah.
Mary Lynn said, I do believe that's one of the prettiest head planters I've seen. Yes. Is it from Unique Stone? No. I don't know where it's from. We looked around for brand information. I don't know. My parents' garden center has them.
Yeah.
Carol said, I don't have a lot of experience with succulents, but this is beautiful and inspires me to try them. How and with what would you fertilize this? Thank you for continuing to push us to try new things. I would fertilize them with cactus fertilizer, probably realistically, like every other month as often as it's going to get fertilizer. I think the container says you can do every 2 weeks, but I think once a month is great. I don't know.
You're not shooting for growth.
No, and you know, I'm not shooting for growth with these, and you really wouldn't even need to fertilize. I mean, it's fresh soil I put them in, and if you are packing them that close, we're only going to get, you know, a year out of this arrangement probably before we have to start popping stuff out. And you can leave some in that container if you want and give them more room. But yeah, we're not shooting for a lot of growth, and they naturally won't grow really quickly because they're so close together. Mom Simple Life said, this plant arrangement is gorgeous. I personally have trouble with houseplants. I'm trying to do more indoor plants during the winter months before the growing season takes off in the spring. Do you have an easy to grow indoor plant suggestions for some of us that have trouble killing indoor plants? Maybe we should do a video about that. But like ZZ plants are one of the better ones. Peperomiums have been really kind to me. Rubber plants, ficus, are really easy. They have to be tough to be in our house. Sansevierias do pretty good. Like they have to last 3 weeks without water. The begonia, like I'll see it like really struggling once a week, and I'll grab it and put it in the sink and water it. Just enough to keep it alive, I guess. But yeah, we should put it together a video at some point. Monique said, what is the super bright fuchsia colored plant in the background towards the end of the video? That's a Tradescantia. Isn't that amazing? I think because it's one next to the glass, so it's a little cooler, and it gets tons and tons of light. I think those two things have brought out this amazing color in the plant. Usually they're a little bit more like purple and silver, like a deeper purple and silver, but they are just, I have two in there, and they're just like super beautiful. Brenda said, Laura, love it. When I read my mountain crest plants, I didn't know I was supposed to pull off the dirt and expose the roots. I planted them. Do you think they will be okay? Yes, absolutely be okay. The only reason why I roughed up the roots is so I could fit them in easier, because there's no way all those root balls would have fit together had I left all the extra soil on them.
I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of people's planters don't look like pleasing when they're first planted, is because a lot of people just kind of like create a spot for the whole root ball. Mm-hmm. And in that, if you do that, you really can't place them very close to each other. And you'd have to wait like a year for them to start touching each other for the growth.
Anna said, what is the sphere-looking plant behind the succulent planter at the end of your video? I remember you put a video about it, but just can't find it. That's a myrtle topiary. We picked that up on a date day not that long ago. It's been a little bit, but it's doing great. And I think it's doing great because I kind of have a system of watering out here. I've got 3 locations out here to water right now. The greenhouse, the stuff in the studio, and the things in the Hartley. And every other day is kind of like a full watering day where I expect it to take more time. And then the day in between, I just check seedlings. So that gets water every other day, like a good watering. And it's super happy so far. Apparently they like a lot of water and high humidity. It's not super humid in there, but it's thriving. It hasn't dropped any leaves. So that's kind of my sign. Like it's been a few weeks and it hasn't dropped leaves. Rizal said, I'd like to do a succulent wall art project along my dining room table this year. Do you have any recommendations on where to buy succulents in bulk? Do Mountain Crest do bulk packages?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I would just check out mountaincrestgardens.com, right?
Yeah.
And see what they've got, because I do think that they've got like bulk, because a lot of people like to do weddings and centerpieces and things where they need them in bulk. And then last question, Cheryl said, how do you handle them without petals falling off? When I just touch ours here in Florida, they crumble. Some of them want to crumble. Those little sedum, the little jelly bean sedums, you have to be super careful because you just like barely touch them and the leaves will pop off. You get more comfortable with succulents the more you mess with them, honestly. Like I feel like in the beginning I was a little bit more fumbly and things would happen. And you also get to know the plant types, which ones can be handled more aggressively and which ones you need to be super careful with. Like the burrito sedum I just showed you. Oh my gosh, you look at that one wrong and it's just gonna drop those chubby little leaves and they don't pick up in a vacuum. And they barely roll, like they're so kind of moist and sticky, not sticky, but they just like don't sweep up easy either. You have to hand pick them off the floor. Anyway, that is it for today's video. Thank you Nature's Willow so much for sponsoring today's, and thank you everybody for watching it. I hope you're having a great day and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.